Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's office hours. I hope you are doing well. Oh my gosh, there's so many buttons going on that I have no idea what I want to do here. But I'm so excited that you're here because we're going to talk about setting goals and for your speaking career. And I definitely want to make sure we talk about some goals around your speaking career. Of course, if you have any questions about anything, make sure you put them in the comment box. If you are watching us on our platform here for I Find You Close, I'm going to go ahead and do a few things and show you where you can communicate with us. Now, of course, you can just pop the little video out if you're watching in the platform, and you can just come and join us over here on YouTube. I mean, that's easy too. Or if you are in our platform, this is us here, and over in the top right, we have discussions, and you can create a new post, and I will be monitoring that for any questions that you might have. And of course, if you got the email, the reminder of our office hours, you can definitely submit your question in our in our form. So there's many ways that you can ask questions. And what I'm doing right now is I need to go actually check the form just to make sure if you have any questions, I can be here to answer them for you. But how are you doing? And for those of you who are joining me, you have no idea who I am Felicia Jones, the lead researcher and founder of I Find You Close. And this is our weekly Friday office hours. And what we do, I just answer questions around pitching, around speaking. I don't have a good margarita mix anymore, so can't help you with that. I know how to get water these days. So if you have any questions around anything, and we're just going to hang out just a little bit here on a Friday, and we're going to talk about speaking goals. I have tools for us to pay attention to when it comes to goals, and I'm going to explain to you how I created goals a couple of years ago and how it actually worked. So I did 2 years. These are 2 years worth of speaking goals, and hopefully give you some ideas on how you can get yourself out there and stay motivated with everything that's going on, because it's easy to get distracted. I don't know about you, but it's really easy to get distracted these days. So I'm going to make sure we don't have any questions on our forms over here. Nope, we don't have any questions over here because I can't find the form. There we go. See, it's, you know how you're organized, but you're never organized at the same time. So we don't have any questions on our forms. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over. For our guests who are hanging out with us, of course, if you are ready to have some speaking opportunities delivered to you, I want you to go ahead and sign up for I Find You Close. Go to ifindyoukclose.com. You can go straight to our website and, or just upgrade, because if you're in our platform and you're a guest, you're already there. We're also doing free assessments for those of you who want to determine whether or not you can attract high-paid speaking gigs. So all you have to do is go over here to ifindyoukclose.com, and I'm going to get myself off screen so you can see. Go over to I Find You Close and, fill out the assessment right here of whether or not, and, I'll send you a video on whether or not you can attract high-paid speaking gigs. All right? I know, so many cool things. And I'm just I feel discombobulated for some reason. I don't know why. I think because I was working as soon as I turned the camera on, and then things went really weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Goals when it comes to your speaking career. So I've been doing a live stream every day here on our YouTube channel about traveling the world as a speaker. And of course, I talk about travel, and then I try to give you a couple of tips around speaking. And what I kind of got into the other day was doing the math around speaking, because I've run into a lot of people recently who have really good goals. Every goal is possible. They want to do 6 speaking gigs a month by the end of this year. And that's a lot of gigs. That's like 60 gigs, not 72 gigs by the end of this year. And they're still just starting. They don't really know where to start, or, they still have a lot going on. So what I really want to talk about are the goals that you are creating around your speaking career. I want them to be realistic. I want them to be achievable for you, because I don't want you to get so married to these goals and then you feel like you didn't accomplish anything. So what we're going to do is stop putting so much emphasis on outcome goals. Outcome goals are 72 gigs by the end of this year, 60 gigs by the end of this year, 4 gigs every month, Because what happens is we realize that we're still running a business. We're still working with clients. Oh, by the way, we still have to sleep, eat, and some of us have families. We still got to clean the house and do laundry. Finding speaking gigs and all the pitching for all of you who are in I Find You Close. I mean, you see that it's not magic. It does take work. What we have done is just kind of saved you at least 4 hours of looking for some gigs, and hopefully it works for you to kind of give a few hours of your life back. But it still takes work to formulate your pitches and to get and find the rhythm that works for you. So what I want to talk about today is creating journey goals. I like to call them journey goals, meaning they're not so related to the outcomes. And what I will show you is, you know, what I say with all these blah 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 blah. That's how this day is going, I guess. When I talk about journey goals and outcome goals, so what I do like is, like, for me, I put down here like having 16 speaking gigs for the year. This was in 2017, so oh my gosh, it's like forever ago. And I actually did, I had 16 speaking gigs to an audience size of 20 to 45 because that was my sweet spot for me converting. And so what I did with this was I just made sure I had 4 basic goals around my business. And so I don't know if you can see that. I just had 4 basic goals around my business. And, the goal was to use all of this to grow the business. Now, I have to say, when it came to speaking gigs, I was not using speaking as a source of income. It was speaking just to market. All of these things were just like marketing opportunities for me to get the business going. And what I did with this, I just made it very simple in that, all right, I want my 16 goals. Those are my 16 gigs. Those are my outcome goals. Now, what I had to do from that was figure out what's the journey. And for me, the journey was, all right, every month I needed to sit down and pitch 20 speaking opportunities. That was the journey. Or I needed to research 20 of those. So that's what I really want you to start thinking about, is the journey of it. And I'm actually going to bring up my little whiteboard here as soon as I can find it. So let me know if that makes sense, to go after the journey instead of just focusing solely on the outcome, because it's not that I don't want you to have the outcome. You do need those goals. It kind of keeps you on track. But what happens is that sometimes we'll say, I want these 72 gigs. And then we get stuck in, how is it going to happen? How's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? And that was my issue. I was one of those like, okay, how? And people are like, don't worry about the how. You just manifest it and it'll come. I wasn't one of those people. I still needed to know how this was actually going to work out for me. So what I had to do was I would create those types of goals, but then I would create the journey around it. Like, all right, I said I want 16 gigs. What is it going to take for me to get the 16 gigs? So let me go ahead and switch over to my display so I can show you what I'm working on right now. I got things dinging or whatever. So for me, so let's just say I had a goal, 16 gigs. So that is my outcome goal. This is the outcome that I wanted. I wanted it within 18 months. That is what I did, because I didn't know the path that I was going to set out on. So that would be my goal, is to get 16 gigs within 18 months. So now here's the journey, because I would get stuck in the how. And here are the journey goals. And the journey goals were big. That means 1 day a week, 8 hours researching gigs. That is what I did. Researching and pitching. 8 hours, 1 day a week for 8 hours. All I would do is sit there and research and pitch. And so for me, I put a time on it. It was like 8 hours. I never really had, I'm going to pitch 20. But at the end of the day, that's what it came down to. It's just like, so each month, monthly, pitch 15 gigs. Now, I got to tell you, 15 gigs is very small. Now, when I was definitely doing a lot of this hardcore, it was all about marketing the business. So that's why I didn't have like I'm trying to get on stage like 50 times a month. I didn't have the energy for it, and also I still had clients, and I still had to do all these other things. So these were my journey goals. It was like one day a week. I was gonna sit down for 8 hours and research and pitch gigs. So what you're seeing in I Find You Close is actually what I use. That's what I would do. I would sit there for 8 hours and just come up with these lists and like, this is good, this is bad, and then I would make sure I would pitch 15 of these each month. So if I wasn't done by the end of the month, I would make sure that I hit my 15 goal. So to me, these were the journey, because this one I can kind of control, but it's going to take me work. It's actually going to take me work to get to the 16 gigs, and you can't see what I'm pointing at. It's going to take work to land these 16 gigs, and I really didn't know how much it would take. And what we talked about yesterday on the live stream was, when we did the math behind gigs, and I know this is really, really messy, but what I see a lot with people is they want the 16 gigs for 2021, but the reality is you're going to have to pitch 32. You may have to pitch 32, and I'm being very conservative with a 50% conversion rate. All right, so you may have to pitch 32, but that also means you may have to research 64 events to pitch to 32 for 50% conversion rate, which got you to 16 gigs by the end of this year. So let me know if that makes sense, but I'm just trying to let you know that when we put these goals into place, like I want 64 gigs or 32 gigs by the end of the year, or 16 gigs, we got to actually do the math around it. And sometimes I think it's easier to come back to, let's pay attention to the journey. What is it going to take for me to get there? And I did, for the last few years, I stopped actually having some of these big, mega goals. I stopped having some of these big goals of like 15 here, $50,000. I would still have them. And as you can see, they would be in my little bubble here. Like, all right, here's the overall my revenue goals. This is my end goal. I want 10,000 of these, and I want to speak at this one event. But I also knew that around all of this, I needed to like do some work. These goals do not just magically get achieved without doing any work. So I had to sit down and figure out what was going to be the journey for me to get there. And for me, when it comes to creating goals around speaking, is that you got to really pay attention to this journey. You got to give yourself time. That's what a lot of us don't do when it comes to speaking. I have so many people who unsubscribe or say, it's just not the right time. If it's not the right time, I totally understand. But if this is something you want, and I don't care if you're using I Find You Close, I don't care if you're like pitching people through LinkedIn, you got to give yourself time. And a lot of us, we think that if we just put it on our website that we are a speaker, that people will magically come. It just doesn't happen that way. So we got to put some goals around it. And I understand people who want the goals. I want to speak 4 times every month for the next year. Yes, you need to have those goals, but we also need to figure out what's the work behind it. How much work is it going to take to get 4 gigs a month, 48 gigs for a year? So now we got to go research 200 to pitch 100 just to land 48. And if it's not your full-time job doing this, now we also got to figure out a balance. So that's why I say, for me, when I was doing a lot of this, was I had to put in this journey, was like, all right, how much time am I willing to dedicate to this? And I actually consult quite a few people that say, well, I'll just give it 2 hours a month. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you want 48 gigs, you want to hit $50,000 in speaking, 2 hours a month is not going to cut it, unless you are like Oprah or Michelle Obama or I don't somebody famous. If you're not famous, then you got to sit down here and do the work. So some part of this journey that I want you to really pay attention to is to put some goals on the journey. How much time? So if we had to look at it, my thingy isn't working. We do it this way. So let's part of the journey goals. Let's just say, I'll make this up as we go. I want you to create a grid. I get to write with my pen. So how much time are you going to dedicate? Time dedicated. I'm really getting the hang of writing on my screen here. Let me minimize this so that you can see what I'm writing a little bit more. So when we come to these journey goals, I want you to figure out how much time are you willing to dedicate to it. This is going to be 2 hours a week, and I want you to be very specific. 2 hours a week, 5 hours a day, whatever it is. I want you to figure out the time, how much effort during that time. So now that you say that you gave yourself the 8 hours a week, now how much effort are you going to put into it? Like, all right, every 8 hours, I'm going to pitch at least 2 gigs. Is it pitching 2? Is it pitching 4? Is it pitching 5? You know what? You're going to have to test it out to see what works. But for me, it was always the minimum of 2. Minimum of 2 gigs. Like, I couldn't get up from the desk in my 8 hours until I pitched 2 gigs. So that's what I really want you to do. And then over here, you know, if you do have, I don't know what else we can put on our journey goals, you know, you still have a business to run. You really do. You still have a business to run. And so you got to get yourself out there, you know, when it comes to all this business. And then you got to figure out how much time are you going to dedicate to practicing and then converting, you know. So let's put this on the journey goals. What are all the products? We're going to call it product prep. So this is part of the journey as well, so that we can make some money. Because I want you to start putting these things together, speaking and then making money from it as well. All right. If it's with a product, if it's converting, if it's discovery sessions, if you're trying to get people on your list, you still got to put a lot of time into it as well. Because I did this thing of I'm going to go speak, and I had no conversion methods whatsoever. All right. And then what else do we want to put down here? So I'm literally just making this up as I go, but I like this. You know, how much time are we going to dedicate? And to be honest, this is what my journal, it's not my journal, but it's my planner. It kind of looks like this, like, all right, how much time am I willing to dedicate to this? And then, how much effort within that time frame? And then how much, time am I going to put over here to have a product that relates to this? Because remember, we can't do this all in a vacuum, especially if we're trying to grow a business at the same time, you know. And then you want to make sure you put in all of this time. And then, so we got the product, and then we gotta, let's put tracking over here. Tracking to improve. You have to excuse my handwriting because I'm writing on a screen. All right, so we just made this up as we go. Yay! All right, so these are going to be part of our journey goals. So these are going to be the first two over here on the right side. It's time dedicated. How much time are you going to dedicate to achieving your goals? And of course, we have all of the big ones over here. So we have the big goals. I put those in the bubbles. The 16 gigs, $50,000. Let me erase that for you. So yeah, these outcome goals are very important. The outcome goals are very, very important, but we also need to put some journey goals with it as well. So let's just say this is all by the end of the year. And, you know, we want 3 collab opportunities, collab ops, whatever that means, you know, collaborating with somebody else in your field. So let's just say these are the outcome goals. This is what we want to happen by the end of the year. 16 gigs, $50,000, 3 collab opportunities. All right, now here's the journey. All right, we got to put the time dedicated to sit down and do the research. Like, how many days, how many hours are we going to do that? And then within that 8-hour time frame, or those 5 days a week, what is it that we need to make sure happens? We need to pitch 2 gigs, all right? And then at the same time, while we're on this journey, we got to create some product. We got to do some product prep along the way, because remember, we said we still want to make that $50,000. We want the gigs, but we also want to make this $50,000. So what are we trying to put people into? Are we converting? Is my talk selling? Whatever it is. And then we have to consistently track, all right? We have to consistently track to see if we are on target with any of the things that we are doing. All right. So let me get me an off screen so you can see what I'm doing over here. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So I'm off screen so you can see what I'm doing. So this is what we came up with. Here are the outcome goals. These are, you know, the hardcore numbers within a certain time frame. And then here's the journey. What is it going to take to get there? How much effort are we willing to put into it? How are we tracking our progress? Remember, if you've been watching the live stream, I said you cannot improve what you don't track. You honestly cannot improve what you don't track. So if you're not tracking any of this, you won't be improving. All right. So, and then we got to look at the products. So these are all part of this little circle of dance and things that we have to do to make sure that we are reaching our goals. So hopefully this helps just a little bit when it comes to setting goals for your speaking career. And of course, what we're going to do is talk about this every month, is to put these goals down there, because what happens is that we get into this little cycle, and sometimes we forget why we're doing this. We forget that, oh, I said I wanted to make money. Oh, I forgot I said I wanted to get on the stage, or I forgot I'm using this for marketing, because it's very easy to get caught up and everybody thinks you're all fancy. And then at the end of the year, guess what? You didn't make any money. You got the gigs, but you didn't make any money, and it didn't go the way you thought it was going to be. So that's what I want you to focus on when it comes to setting the goals around your speaking career. Of course, if you have any questions around anything, please be sure to put them in the comment box. I will be sure to answer them. Hopefully this helped just a little bit so that you can get into the right mindset of the amount of work that you will have to do to achieve your goals. And the beautiful thing is, it is the beginning of it. Well, it's not, it's the beginning of the year, kind of. We're walking into February. And I'm one of those, you didn't have to have all your goals done in December. If you're still working on your goals, I usually make my goals in March because it's my birthday. But if it's time to really start thinking and resetting, remember we've dedicated the word reset to our business this year. Is resetting and reimagining all of our goals and how we're actually putting ourselves out there. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Of course, for those of you who are guests of us, all you got to do is go check us out at ifindyoukclothes.com. We actually have the gigs. You don't have to worry about that. We've taken care of that for you. All right. Outside of that, I think we're good. So you take care of yourself. If you need anything, you know how to find me inside of I Find You Clothes, or you can put it here on the in the comment box. And I will see you next week. And I don't know what we're talking about next week, but it's going to be something really, really amazing. So take care of yourself. I hope you had a really good January, and I hope you have some really cool goals and a cool journey that you're going to follow for February. So take care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye.